Salutations, my friends! Today we are going to be doing another iconic female painting. Today we are going to be painting Miss Audrey Hepburn. So if you like this painting, please continue to watch. Hello friends, again thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking a little bit about Miss Audrey Hepburn. I'm going to try to keep this short today and not get into some long meaningful thing like I did last time. Miss Audrey has been a huge inspiration in my life, I'm sure along with a lot of other women. She is so iconic for her film, her philanthropy. I can't say that, philanthropy, and her true good-hearted nature. I'm sure her most iconic film is obviously Breakfast at Tiffany's. It was always one of my favorite movies. I always looked up to her style. She was always so classic, and there are a million things I could say about her and give you a million facts, but most people know who she is and know a lot about her already. So I kind of just wanted to take a second to, kind of say what an impact she made in my life. Before I was an artist, I, was really into makeup and fashion. And she really kind of paved the path for just my style choices in general, and the simplicity and effortlessness of her style. Really, this is a huge painting for me. I know it's been done a million times, and there's a million different paintings of her, but I have drawn her before, but I've never painted her before, so this is going to be, it's just a big deal for me. I mean, I know I say I don't idolize people, but that is one person that I can be honestly and say that I have idolized her in my life. And I know I'm in a different spot right now. I won't be painting here, but I just wanted to film where there was more light and less noise. So yes, just if you want to leave me a comment down below and tell me one person that has inspired you in your life. It doesn't have to be somebody famous or a female. Just let me know who's inspired you in your life. If you want to stay up to date with my channel, my videos, any of the art that I'm working on, you can follow me on my Instagram at Love Pray Paint. I have a Facebook group. It's Love Pray Paint with me. A Facebook, not really a fan page, I wouldn't call it, but just a Facebook page. It's at Love Pray Paint. And my Twitter at Love Pray Paint. Don't forget to follow me. I started a new fashion and sort of artistic photography, I would say, Instagram. It's at Poor Little French Girl at Instagram.com. I will have all of those linked down below. And we're going to have a couple little art lessons in this. I'm going to be doing a fluid painting background, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And also I'm going to show you how to mix a turquoise color. So just stay tuned for that. I don't know why I'm singing. So just hold on tight, pull your britches up, what the hell am I talking about? I was watching this girl the other day, and she's like a law of attraction person. I watched a couple of her videos, and every time she would go to like the next segment, she'd go and she'd snap her fingers and try to edit it like she like snapped her fingers and it was like the next thing. I was like, I should start doing that. So just hold tight and let's get painting. Hey guys, I'm just gonna really quickly show you how to mix a turquoise color. Just a little lesson here before we start our painting and before I start the time lapse. I just think it's really important how to mix your own colors instead of having to buy them, because that can get very expensive, especially if you're not selling your paintings and making money from it. Okay. So you can use a couple of different blues. You really kind of want to stay away from ultramarine blue. You want to use either phthalo blue or something like a cobalt blue. You want to stay away from blues that have a a red undertone. So what we're going to do first is we are going to make a green by taking our blue and mixing it with a little primary. Your best bet is to actually stick with primary colors, but I just really like Cobalt Blue. Okay, so we're going to do equal parts of those. And this is how we're going to get our turquoise. We're going to start with the green. And what I recommend doing is either using a palette knife. I'm just going to use this brush. I don't even know what the heck it is. It's a round. I'm not sure what size. It's a number 1 round. I think this is Master Touch brush. And instead of, you know, string it together like that, you can do that. But what I like to do is actually pull the colors together. That way you're not going to waste as much. And you really don't need this much paint, but I do need this much paint because I'm going to be doing a flow painting. And I'll also show you how to do that, how to mix it with just water and not using a median. Because I think that especially when you're on a budget, you know, doing those flow paintings, while they're really cool to watch, they can get very expensive because you use so much paint, and those medians that you buy, the flow medians, are very expensive. So here's our green. Now what we're going to do is we're going to keep adding green and yellow to our blue until we get the perfect turquoise color, and also white. So we're going to be working on the tone of the color first, and then we're going to be working on the hue, which would be, you know, a hue is like a shade, or, you know, when you're mixing in white, you would call that a hue. All right, so that doesn't really matter so much. I don't know why I'm telling you that. So we're going to add a little bit more yellow onto our palette here, a nice bright primary yellow, and a bit of our blue. And so I like to have the blue and add the other colors into the blue because me personally, I like more blue than the other colors. I don't really need to mix all of these at once. I'm just gonna kind of show you on here. So I'll just take some of that and get our blue, more of our blue, because remember we want this to be turquoise. And we're gonna pull. No, that looks not turquoise yet, so you're gonna add more green. And you can kind of keep going, you know, along the thing here. So right now we have just kind of, it looks almost muddy right now. That's okay. It's not turquoisey yet. I am going to add more blue because I like mine to have lots of blue. And the reason I have so much color here is because, like I said, I'm going to be using this from the flow. So it looks kind of purpley right now, but that's okay. That's because I think this actually, Cobalt Blue does sort of have a red undertone, but if you use Ultramarine, this is gonna be way more gray looking. That one does not work for turquoise at all. So we're gonna add some yellow to give it more of that green. And now we're gonna start working on the hue and lightening it because I really don't want this dark of a color. So we'll just put some white out onto our palette, and then we're going to start lightening this. I usually like to just pull it into the color like this, instead of just globbing it right on top of there. That's not what I want. And then until I'm satisfied with that color, with the tone of the color, I like more blue in this. And you just keep going until you get that like perfect shade. Maybe I do have some like more blue in there. So that's kind of looking like what I want it to look like. Sort of this sort of, maybe I want a little more like yellow in there, a little more white. And then you just keep mixing that until you get the perfect shade. It's coming a lot. I like it a lot better on the film than I do in person. Some phthalo blue. Take that. And this is what I mean by undertones and how you're going to get... so we have that. And how you can tell the undertone of a color, we can lighten it first, that's fine, is by adding white to the color. Or the hue, I guess I should say, the undertone of it. So you're going to put the white into this, and you'll be able to tell that this has a green undertone by doing that. And it really helps if you actually have like the other color you know, right next to it. I didn't mix the other one with just white, so obviously I wouldn't be able to show you that. This is kind of another way you can make our turquoise color. So we'll make our the lighter color blue first, pulling these two things together, and then we can just keep adding a little bits of yellow to it until you get the exact amount you want. And I don't ever like to put the color right on top of the other color, just because what happens when you do that, you can use cadmium yellow too for this, not just primary. I'm running out of this one, so I might end up having to do that. So what you're going to do is just take a little bit of the yellow, and you're just going to add it until you get the turquoise color that you want. So you can kind of see some of the turquoise in there now. And it really doesn't take much of the yellow when you do it this way. I actually like doing it this way better with this tone. I just didn't want to use this one because I don't have that much of it. I like the color it gives a lot better. And then if you want it lighter, you would just keep lightening it. So this is the way you can do it, by just doing the yellow, the phthalo, and titanium white. Instead of mixing a green and then adding your blue, or adding the green to the blue, you just do the blue with the yellow, and you just keep mixing it until you get the perfect turquoise, which I think this is quite pretty. And then I'd probably lighten it up a little bit with some white to make it a little bit lighter. Anyway, so that's how you do that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to mix the paint with water so we can do our flow painting. So we're going to start with our turquoise. I'm going to use both of these just because I made both of them. And so you're just going to scoop up some of the paint. And, well, you could put the water in first. That actually might be easier. I'm sure most people would disagree with me, but I'm just going to add a tiny bit of water in that. And then I'm going to scoop some of this into the water. And I probably put too much water in that. You want these to be not like, this is like watercolor. You don't want it like that. You want it thick enough to pour, but you want it thin enough so it flows. Does that make any sense? Probably it doesn't, but we're just gonna go with it. So you kind of want it the consistency of like a little bit thinner than like craft paint. Like what I have right here is way too thin. This is not gonna work out with how thin I have this. So you need way less water than that. So I'll just keep adding paint in there until I get the right consistency. And when you do this, you really want to do it with your canvas propped up onto something. I'm not going to worry about that because I really don't care about my table. And it also can affect how the paint flows if you move it around a lot. So you really want to have it propped up on something. You can use some little shot glasses or those little mini Dixie cups. I don't have those, so I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just mixing up some more turquoise right now with my, I used the phthalo and the titanium white and the yellow, the primary yellow, just because I didn't have enough and I want this to be thick enough. And you really want this color to be pretty consistent. You don't want it not mixed all the way. So I'm just going to mix that into the water, and I'm going to keep putting more paint in there until I get it the consistency I want. This is why you want the paint in first and not the water, because if you do it the other way around, it's just not going to work. Okay. So yeah, word to the wise, put the paint in first and then the water. Don't do what I did. I've only made a couple of these flow paintings. The last one I did was probably 6 feet tall and wide. It was like huge. It's in my dining room. Anyway, I wanted it to look like marble, so it was relatively easy because all I was using was white and black and gray. Well, actually just white and black, obviously. And now I'm gonna mix I want to use both of these turquoises. I know that seems a little weird, but I think that it will give the painting more more, what am I trying to say? More depth with the different tones instead of just having the one tone. And see how much grayer this one is than that one. I really like using the phthalo because this had a red undertone, and that's exactly what I was talking about with using the ultramarine. So cobalt blue isn't the best thing to use either because that really has a red undertone as well. Okay, so now we're just gonna add a tiny bit of water so it's not nearly as liquidy as the other one. And then you're just going to mix that until you get the consistency you want. That noise is driving me insane. I'm gonna move to the brush here instead because it'll mix better that way. And you want this very smooth, you don't want it chunky. See, like this isn't kind of flowing off of the thing, so that tells me that I'm probably gonna want to put more water in it, because the point of this is to have it so it will move around the canvas. And I can always add, I do have something I can add to this. It's a glazing medium that I think would be good for the consistency of it, but I kind of wanted to just keep it the water to show you that you don't have to put a bunch of money into this to, oops, I just split, oh well, that's all right, to make this work. So now I can go straight from the tube into this. Okay, so we're gonna take our primary yellow and a bit of water. Almost poured coffee in there, that would have been bad. Just a tiny bit, and just keep adding it. Well, that was too much already. And just keep, and I'm gonna get a new brush because I did not like using that, whatever that thing was to do this. Sorry, I'm doing this on my disgusting palette, but I don't know why I have it propped up on there. I just do. Okay, and you're just going to mix this until you get the right consistency and there's no lumps. It's kind of like baking. Baking, you really need to, well, I would say cooking more than baking, because baking you need just the right measurements. This, well, I guess, yeah, it probably is like baking. You need just the right consistency for it to work. Like this one, I think it's probably not gonna, probably does need more water. I don't want all those bubbles in it either, so you want to be careful when you're mixing that, I think. It's not really, I don't think it's runny enough. Because if I can't even get it to drip out of the cup, how am I gonna get it to run onto the canvas? And you can add, if you want to get like those cells, I don't really want that look. If it happens, it happens. But I really just want these colors to look more like kind of like watercolor than like a traditional pour painting. I just kind of want the colors to sort of flow together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my, my other cup right here. And I know a lot of people mix white in between the colors to keep them separate, just so I don't think they muddy. I don't really think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to give it a shot with just like pouring it in there. So hopefully this will work. I'm going to start with my super runny color. I feel like I just got to add something more paint in there. It's going to drive me crazy because I feel like it's way too runny. I am going to do that. Otherwise it's going to drive me crazy. I'm going to feel like it's too runny. I really kind of want that almost Tiffany blue color. I think that's actually a little more green than I have, but that's kind of the color that I wanted. So you're just gonna dump this in like little layers. So you start with that one, and then just try not to like make it mix too much, because the point is to have it mix onto the, see, onto the palette and not onto the, or onto the canvas and not in the cup. Can you stop? Eli, you're gonna mess this up. Don't start playing that, please. Oh, kind of mixed inside of here. Oh, well, that's all right. And keep going. I think that's the problem with using the not using the flow mediums. Okay, so we have that all mixed up in there. didn't really mix like how I was thinking it would. I'll probably have to do another round of that, but I'm not going to tape that. I just kind of wanted to show you sort of how to do that. So now we'll move that very carefully. We can use this to kind of prop up our canvas a little bit. That might be wise. So here's our canvas. And so what you do is you just dump this upside down in the middle. Can you stop? Can you stop, babe? And you just flip this upside down. So here we go. And then you're going to move it around.